Hey, I'm Rhiannon. I am a healthcare recruiter here with Focus Staff.
And I'm lucky enough to work alongside Rhiannon. My name is Brody, and I'm also a healthcare recruiter here at Focus Staff.
So, today we're going to start off talking a little bit about some misconceptions you may see in the travel industry, especially when you're looking for a travel assignment. So, Brody, why don't you tell us a little bit about when a nurse or any clinician comes into our agency and they're looking for a job? What are some big no nos when they're talking to you?
So I wouldn't call it a big no-no, but it's something more of a red flag or something that a healthcare recruiter needs to educate a lot of our travelers on. You have people that look at travel assignments because they hear from different people at the facility that they're actually looking, they're getting these stipends, they're getting tax exempt money. We don't want to work with people who are local travelers. We're looking for people who are willing to travel. They're going to different states, they're seeing different national parks, they're looking at big cities, and most importantly, they want to get paid.
Right. So I know some of the best states for the summer, especially that's coming up, and you can even get a contract right now for the summer months. Some of those states, and I'm going to start off first one with New York. It is a single state, so obviously you're going to have your New York license. But this is one of the top paying states that we have. New York City specifically always has jobs open. And Brody, do you know some of the nursing specialties or even in the allied section, like who's getting hired the most? Who are we seeing getting placed the most?
Yeah, so right now the market's actually really big, at least in the allied division, is for imaging. So any radiology, like if you're looking at CT techs, IR techs, X-ray, cath lab even, they're really, really popping off. Now, I don't want to sit there and just say imaging. There is also surge techs out there. There's med lab, there's therapy that we have as well. But what's really, really hot right now is the imaging department.
Okay, and then I know on the RN side, med surg, tele, PCU, step down, those are huge. And I'm even going to talk about some of the specialties that I really don't see people getting placed. It's labor and delivery. That's just not in season right now. It's unfortunately a seasonal specialty. So you will see them during baby season, obviously. But labor and delivery, IR, cath lab, dialysis specifically, I'm not seeing those get placed right now. What are you seeing?
Well, it's on the opposite end. IR is actually getting placed a lot for us on the
Okay.
allied side. The difference, though, I think a lot of people don't think about when you look at RNs versus allied. Allied is typically they're filling one position or two positions per facility.
Right.
Nursing, you're going to have multiple positions per unit per facility. With that being said, it's going to be a little bit different, and it varies. Just like IR might not be big right now for the nursing side, respiratory therapy right now is different. It's not big right now, and it gets bigger in the wintertime. But we're looking at the summertime right now.
Right. So circling back, New York, that was the first state. We know New York always has jobs. Allied, RN, LPN, CNA. It's going to be there. Another good state is West Virginia and Virginia. Those are really good states, especially in the summer. If you're not in for cold weather, just rule it out for the winter, but for the summer, it's great.
Well, Virginia is nice too because you have the beaches that you can go to in Virginia. You're close to like you can get close to like the DC area if you're interested in that stuff at all. On the opposite end, if you're in West Virginia, that's one of the cheapest places in the nation to live. You're also not too far from the Pennsylvania, the Virginia, the DC, things like that. So it has a good spot. Or if you're trying to head over to Kentucky, which is another really, really popular state, I actually went to school there. So I know quite a bit about that state. There is, I mean, ridiculous amount of bluegrass there. You can go see the Hall of Fame there, Sports Hall of Fame there, and the housing isn't that bad.
Yeah,
Big, big,
Kentucky
big,
and
big college town hospitals too that are really nice. Good to add to your resume as well.
Kentucky and West Virginia, I know super affordable, especially if you're a first time traveler that's looking to get out of your state. Those two, it would be easy money. It's super cheap to live there, and they always have jobs. Another two states that always have jobs open. Texas, I do want to touch on a little bit. So Texas, we do staff a lot in Texas, but it is
Mhm.
tricky. I'm not sure about the Allied division, so Brody can speak for me here. But for RNs, if you're looking to go to Texas, you need to be so flexible. Like, be willing to go to the whole state of Texas. Don't choose Houston or Dallas or Austin and just stop there. You really need to be able to go just about anywhere in Texas.
But hey, now I do want to give a big shout out to Dallas because that's where we are located from. We have a really good connection in all the facilities there. So Dallas Fort Worth areas, we can often place you there. I do want to say Texas is such a huge state.
Hmm.
And again, this goes back onto local travelers. We don't want people that are, and this is not just we, this is healthcare recruiters. This is looking at big companies. It's hard to place a lot of people who have a full desk of local travelers because they're constantly looking at specific areas. We want to look at people that are really, really open. And when people say Texas and they don't realize how big Texas is, so we want to make sure that we're actually educating them as well, that we have multiple areas all over Texas, closer to
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana, Oklahoma, the middle of the state, going all the way over to New Mexico. Texas is a great state, and there's a bunch of different things that you can find in each areas of Texas. So
Yeah,
we do constantly have places there, but I do want to give a shout out to Dallas again.
we love Dallas. And I will circle back just on that local thing. I know there's a lot of nurses that want local assignments. And I would like to hit on it just a little bit before we go to the next state. And the reason we say no local is because job stability. So remember, when you're a travel nurse, you're looking to go where those jobs are, where the money is, where we can get you placed in the next 13 weeks. So just because we get you in Texas for this 13-week assignment doesn't always mean there's going to be one open like 6 or 7 weeks down the road when we start submitting you to other jobs. So if you get stuck in that situation, you're going to be stuck for maybe a couple weeks without a job. And if you're unwilling to move around, then you're out money. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want you to move backwards. We always want you to stay in that travel industry if possible, especially if that's what you're wanting to do.
The other thing that's not talked about often is these facilities have their own radius rule. Some facilities will absolutely not accept travelers that are within 100 miles, 75 miles,
Right?
50 miles. Other ones, they'll drop the rates because they're local travelers. These
Yep.
facilities are typically using travelers because they don't want to incur the cost of local people. They don't want the politics of people there who are PRN or full-time employees. That's why they look for travelers. They want that new, different area kind of people, get that thing going,
Right.
having a good communication within the facility. So when we are looking at that, we do want the travelers for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Got to spice things up.
Exactly that.
And then, so moving on to the next state, and I'll just reiterate because I know we talked a lot about that. But so far, we have New York, West Virginia, Virginia, and Texas and Kentucky as some good states to look at as a travel nurse. The next one is Wisconsin. Now, if you're from the South or live in the South like I do, and I think of Wisconsin, I would never think that that's somewhere I wanted to go. But I have two travelers there right now. They absolutely love it. There are gorgeous lakes and they hike on like every single off day that they have and they send me photos and they may have changed my mind on Wisconsin. And they have a lot of great jobs and they do pay pretty well in comparison to a lot of other states we have. So Brody, what do you think about the Allied side?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Wisconsin is actually one of the most travel friendly states. They are constantly looking for new people out there, and they are typically paying a lot better than the other parts of the nation. Of course, this is always changing, always different, but there's always high paying jobs in Wisconsin. So if you're the type of traveler who really wants to make some money, go up to Wisconsin. I promise you won't regret it.
Yeah, make some money and go to those really pretty lakes, gorgeous hiking. If you're a nature person, that's definitely the place to go. Even if you're not, go live near
And
one of the cities.
it's not that expensive to live up there.
Mm-mm.
The other thing too is most people there fall in love with the facilities. The facilities are actually really kept well up in
Yes.
Wisconsin. They're extending anywhere between 26 weeks, 39 weeks, or staying out that
Mm-hmm.
whole year, well, 11 months. But they stay there. They stay there as long as they possibly can, typically.
Yep. I'm
Now,
seeing that too.
wintertime, it does get a little bit of cold, but we have the people who love the snow sports. Those snow sports or those mountain climbers, whatever you're doing out
Mm-hmm.
there, it is amazing, amazing for that.
So Wisconsin's good all year round, but for the summer, starting now, also a really good spot because you could even extend into the winter at this point if you get a contract here
That
soon.
is
So you can kind of see both sides of Wisconsin.
best of both worlds.
Heck yeah. And then New Hampshire. Brody, what do you think about New Hampshire? Would you go?
New Hampshire is one of the most beautiful states there are out there. I personally, I would say Colorado and New Hampshire are the two most beautiful states that I've ever seen. New Hampshire has these beautiful, beautiful white mountains. The people there are super, super friendly. They always try and talk to you, get to know you. And again, these hospitals are great hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of mid-sized facilities in New Hampshire. There's a couple big ones, but these facilities are people that you're going to get really close with the people that you are or the people
Mm-hmm.
that you work with. And New Hampshire is one of those states that you're gonna make a friend there. Like if you get a reference from there or you go work there, you're gonna have a friend for life from there. And that's one of the things that I see that happen a lot in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Plus the licensing there is pretty quick. It's anywhere between
Mm-hmm.
2 to 4 weeks. It's not too hard. I know certain states are a little bit harder to get licensing, but New Hampshire goes by pretty fast.
Yeah, I've seen that too. We have a lot of nurses that were interested in New Hampshire with some of like the bigger level 1 hospitals, and it seems like they always ended up enjoying their time, extending as long as they can there as well. So
The towns are
Illinois,
small too.
yes, there's
Excuse me.
there's a lot of range in New Hampshire, so you could really get whatever you're looking for in New Hampshire. You can be in the
I actually,
city, nature, whatever.
since we're on the East Coast, I do kind of want to go and touch on the Southern East Coast. So, like the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee states. A lot of travelers want to go there, especially
Hmm.
in the wintertime.
Oh yeah.
So, what I like to recommend to my travelers is, hey, let's just bite the nail. Let's go there in the summertime, get that contract so you can extend through the winter because that's what most other travelers do because they know they need to lock it in because it's such a hot commodity.
Hmm.
Right now, we have a bunch of needs in the Carolinas, North and South Carolina. A lot of beach related towns, and if you are in
Yep.
a landlocked city, you can go right over to the beach within an hour. It's pretty fast over there. The Smoky
Hmm.
Mountains National Park is out there as well. So if you're an avid adventurer, or if you want, it's like a bigger city like Raleigh, you can go out there and have fun in the college towns if you're a big
Oh
foodie
yeah.
or like to have a couple of drinks. Whatever it may be that is your forte, shopping out there is amazing as well too.
Yes. Yeah, North Carolina and South Carolina are always hot hits, always, 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 and I'll always have jobs.
Well, and the thing with the Carolinas too is there's a lot of big facilities. So
Hmm.
if you want to travel for a little bit, and some of these needs nationwide, they'll want you to have level 1 experience, or
Yep.
they'll want you to have a certain bedside experience. When you go to the Carolinas and you get like the UNCs on you or the atriums under you, those facilities are such a good resume builder and resume
Hmm.
provider. So it's a good one to have a notch in the belt.
Yeah. And then backing up on that, if you are going to some of these bigger facilities, make sure you have the experience necessary. 2 years experience. If it's a level 1 trauma, one, like you may be able to work in a level 1 trauma, but if you've never been thrown into level 1, we don't want to put you in that situation where you walk into work and you're like, holy crap, I'm in over my head. So when you are going to these bigger hospitals, bigger facilities, make sure you're fully prepared. 2 years minimum experience for these. Now, some of the mid-size, 2 years, you don't have to have that level 1 trauma experience or even level 2. But those mid-size, you might do better with if you're going first time. But if
Absolutely.
you if you're at those bigger UNC, Novant, definitely make sure you have the
I
experience
I
necessary.
also I also think that that's a good educational moment for the recruiters to or us recruiters to tell our candidates to talk more about the interview process, right? So when you
Hmm.
are interviewing, figure out the patient ratio, figure out how busy they're going to be, have those conversations with the manager. And on the
Yep.
other end, a lot of these facilities do ask for auto offers, and if you're not comfortable with that, let's put that on our submission so we can say,
Yeah.
hey, we want to talk to the manager about this to see if this is a good fit because our job as a recruiter and we want to do it for you as a traveler. You are going for 3 months. You're going to go make some good money, but we also want to make you happy in the meantime, and we want to build a
Hmm.
long lasting relationship with you. So we want to
Yeah.
make sure we're covering all those. We're dotting all of our T or dotting all of our I's and crossing all of our T's. I don't know how to speak apparently.
And if you don't know what an auto offer is, it's basically where we send in or your profile, so your skills checklist, your resume, your license verification, all that good stuff. We just send that in, and if that profile checks off every box that they're looking for, they're going to send you an offer. So there's no interview, there's no discussion about what you're going to be doing. They're just going to send you an offer. And if you're comfortable, take it. Those are the best jobs to get. They're easy, easy, easy wins. So whenever you hear auto offer out there, those are the ones I would jump on if you're looking for something quickly. So just say no.
That is true. Now, have you been to Massachusetts? Because I actually haven't.
I haven't either,
Okay.
but
I do know that Boston and Cape Cod are two popular spots that most of my
hmm.
travelers go to. The people who want to go to Boston, of course, the downtown life is absolutely amazing there. It's well known, it's historic. There's a lot of different cathedrals there. That's something you want to look at. The buildings there are absolutely amazing. And don't get me wrong, the
Yeah.
facilities there are huge. So that is again another good thing to add to your profile or get the
Hmm.
experience in. Cape Cod is something that many people gravitate to as well. More beach town like out there. Of course, it's Atlantic beach town, so it's a little bit different, but it's still really
Yeah.
pretty. Um, there's also the Mayflower is really big out there if you're big into history or big history buff, and you're close to a bunch of other states. That's a good variance of like you going to Texas, right? You're far and spread out from city to city, If you're in Boston,
Yeah.
you can go to different states and go see different stuff on your time off if you're working 36s or if you're working 40s.
Definitely. There's plenty of places to go. Can't you get really good seafood in Massachusetts?
I would assume so, that Atlantic salmon.
I'd be going there.
Me too.
And then Illinois is another single state. So, you're going to have your Illinois license for these. But we do have some really great facilities in Illinois, especially near Chicago and even kind of down trickled into lower Illinois, mid Illinois. So if you're not looking to be near Chicago, which no judgment, but some judgment because I love Chicago. But we can definitely
The Windy
place you
City.
just about anywhere in Illinois. We have so many openings there. But I love Chicago, so I may be a little biased on this one. So, and I grew up in Indiana, right next to Illinois. So I'm very biased on Illinois, but also a really good spot. RNs and Allied.
And it's close. It's cool out there too. Illinois, I think, is known. I think per capita, it's like top 5 in the nation for breweries. So if you are a brewery buff or you like some good eats at the breweries, if you don't drink, that is a really good thing. Lake Michigan isn't too far, and you got a couple other states that are really nearby.
Oh.
And plus, Chicago's known for their deep dish pizza.
And if you don't like deep
Foodies.
dish pizza, or
Pizza.
if you don't like deep dish pizza, can't talk to you. Joke.
Yeah.
But I love deep dish.
um, uh, One of the other big states that really, really stand out to me, and maybe because this is home to me, is Washington. So, me being a West Coaster, growing up in California, moving to Oregon, Washington is a state that I have frequented a lot in my life. There is between Seattle, there is Mount Adams, there's Mount Hood, Mount Rainier. There is a bunch of mountains out there. It's coastal. The PNW is known for their weather, known for the hiking. It's good weather year round. If you like the rain or you like the mugginess, it is an amazing place. It's greener than any other state there is out there. And if you want to go to Canada, you can go check out Canada in the meantime. The facilities there are absolutely amazing. It's second to none in my opinion, and I think a lot of travelers actually really want to go there, and that's why we constantly have needs there. It's one of the biggest and most popular traveling states there is.
So for Washington, say you're not a big nature folk, what else can you do?
I mean, the downtowns are great. Vancouver, Washington, Port Townsend, is Seattle. Of course, Seattle is known for their coffee, and they're big downtowns. If you look up around Seattle, there's so many little islands, like Channel Islands, off of there. That they all have big eateries that are out there that are really popular too.
Fun.
And you're close to a bunch of other states. You're close to Oregon. You're close to California. Again, close to Canada. You can go to Idaho. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Even though it is a big state, it doesn't take too long to drive from the top to the bottom.
Heck yeah. Last one that we know we have some jobs in, we know there's movement is Oklahoma. I feel like that might go hand in hand with Texas here. Be open, be flexible. We know the jobs are there. Just be ready. Keep your mind open. If you take anything away from this, it's keep your mind open when you're applying for travel jobs.
Oklahoma is home of a lot of the Southern Belles. So if you are a big Southern person, food wise, that is a great place to go. They also have a bunch of outdoor stuff. They are nationally known for their mountain biking and their ATV or dirt biking areas. So if that's an outdoor thing that you like to do or get out and see, or maybe something you haven't done, it's a great spot. It is a big spot for travelers as well. Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
constantly asking for people. They're constantly wanting people, and we're always able to push there. Um, I do know that we did, touch base on New Hampshire, New York, Texas, and Kentucky earlier. But I also want to highlight the jobs that we have there. At least for right now, therapy is getting really big in Texas. We have PTs available in Texas. So if you are a PT and you're looking to go out there, I will be here available for you, or Rhiannon will be. Or there'll be other recruiters that can also reach out to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of these states that we've highlighted, we know we have jobs in right now. So when you're watching this and you're hearing a state, you're like, "Ooh, like Massachusetts, I want to go there." We're also pretty knowledgeable on the process of getting those licenses too. Now, unfortunately, we can't go in and apply for you, but most of the recruiters here can definitely help you at least walk through what to expect, how to apply, who do you need to contact, all that good stuff. So we're pretty knowledgeable on that. But if you're watching this, you hear a state you really want to go to, we have jobs there right now and
Yep.
will continue to have jobs. We know the job market changes, but these are pretty safe spots to stick to.
Yeah, and the reason I was actually mentioning the PT in Texas is because our facility or our company has created such good relationships with these clients and these facilities because A, we've had really good travelers there. We've had a long relationship with them, and B, they just have the direct needs right now.
Yeah.
So we have something called a direct needs. Typically, we have a middleman that any medical staffing company has to go through in order to talk and to communicate with these managers. Some of these needs, like psychs in Kentucky, ERRNs, PCU, ICU, Echo, all in New Hampshire, ICU and CT Techs in New York. We have direct contacts with these facilities that when you submit your profile over and we submit it for you, we're submitting it right to the manager there for you. So
Mm-hmm.
we can get an instant offer on these. These are really exciting ones. And moving forward, a lot of people are having a hard time finding positions right now
Yep.
because of what the market is like. So I just want to really highlight those ones. Of course, as Rhiannon said, we do have a bunch of positions elsewhere and all the ones that we highlighted, but I do want to go over those and double down on those for you. Have you had a hard time or how do you handle housing for your candidates?
Yeah, so that is a really big question I get, even first-time travelers, or maybe the first phone call I have with a nurse or clinician that calls me and they're looking for a job. One of the first questions I get 90% of the time is, how do I deal with housing? So, I'm comfortable looking around for them as well, but we have a housing department that is way better than I am at this. So, our housing department, they're so good at finding locations. It's collaborative, so the nurse can talk to the housing department. They can tell them exactly what they want, how close they want to be, and of course, I mean, we can't make jobs pop up out of, or not jobs, houses pop up out of thin air, but we can definitely help with it. So it does relieve some of that stress when you have to go through and look for all these housing opportunities because there's a lot. If you're going to New York, Massachusetts, Boston, there's going to be a lot of options there. So we can definitely help narrow those down.
Yeah, I think one thing that I have all my travelers do is I have them look at shorttermhousing.com. I have them check
Mm-hmm.
out Furnish Finder. Furnish Finder is actually one of my
Furnish
personal
Finder's good.
favorites. I met the owners out at TravCon a few years ago. Great people. They have a great why behind what they do. It's really safe for the travelers. There's also Airbnb and VRBO. As a company, we also get discounts from different partners like extended stay and others. We also do car rentals. We have discounts for our travelers and any accommodations at like Choice Hotels, Motel 8, Red Roof, and Best Western Hotels. There's a bunch out there as well that our amazing housing person, Patricia, can help you out with.
Yep.
Housing, I always want to do two things. I make sure that my travelers look at areavibes.com to make sure they get an understanding of what the area is like if they don't know the area. The second thing I do is I figure out exactly how much that they're willing to pay a month. And then I figure out areas. I look with them on Furnish Finder all the time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy because inflation is up, and we do know that right now. Looking at like one bedrooms, Chicago's in the 1800s, Dallas 1400s, Denver 1700s, Houston 1300s, Las Vegas 1300s, Miami 2600s, New York 3600s, San Diego 2300s. Now, New York, I can say it is a variable. If you're looking at New York City, things like that, it's going to be way higher. If you're going to
Yeah.
upstate like Syracuse, Albany, it's going to be a lot cheaper. But I like looking at that and talking to my travelers about how much are you willing to spend a month for your assignment. Now let's look at that and figure out if there's housing available area and if that does seem fitting for you. The last thing I like to talk to my travelers about is when you get comfortable in that interview and you talk to them like, yeah, I'm ready to accept this position. Um, Talk to the managers about housing because those managers there work with travelers all the time and they have connections on housing as well. So it's something
Mm-hmm.
good that I like to get all my travelers knowing about.
And this is an awkward topic. Mm. This is an awkward topic too, but the main thing with travel nursing is, these furnished finder, Airbnb, this is not a month by month pay. So when you're traveling and you're going somewhere, make sure you have the funds to pay for some of these housings up front. Now, you don't have to. You could definitely get a hotel. Hotels are cheap. They're easy. They do end up costing a little bit more than just getting an Airbnb or furnished finder, But, if you're going to a new area, you don't know where you want to find housing or you want a little more time, we do have these hotel discount codes. So you can go there and you can stay in a hotel for a week or 2 weeks, figure out the area, and then decide where you want to go. So that's always an option as well.
That is so true. I don't ever want to get into anybody's finances personally, but I do like to tell them like your first travel assignment, if you haven't traveled before and don't know about it, can cost a little bit of money. You have to think you don't get paid until the second Friday of your work week because we can't pay you the same Friday that you work. It just doesn't work like that in any business. And it's not just us; it's the facilities. Um, Travel reimbursements, they always come the first paycheck, so we can't pay you ahead of time.
Right.
Housing costs. If it's housing that you need, we can figure that out. And if we need to, figure that out within your budget, we could do that for you. But a lot of travelers need to be made aware that they need to have a little bit of money saved up for travel costs, 2 weeks
Hmm.
of being there, paying for the housing, unless they need us to pay for it. But if we need to pay for it again, that's something that we need to talk about with them and put it into their pay package. But a lot of people don't think about that stuff, and it is our job as recruiters to do so. I always do with my travelers to make sure that they're on board with it and get a full grasp and understanding. And not to mention even the compliance process. Compliance
Yeah.
process will be something that can cost a little bit out of pocket. Again, that is a lot of things that come into play with that. And it gets easier as you get on assignment. Your first assignment
Yeah.
is always the hardest. It's always getting over the hump. It's just like getting a new job somewhere.
Hmm.
But there is also resources. So there's Zumper. They give research reports for hundreds of cities. They make it easier to estimate your cost of travel, everything included. And then there's Rakuten. I'm probably saying that wrong or botching that one, so excuse me on that. But they offer cash back for you if you book through them. So it's something, even if it's a 5%, you get some money back, and it's a really good resource. I also look at, like I said, I look at area vibes. It gives a full insight on what you're looking at and where you're looking to go.
Yeah. Honestly, the more you talk to your recruiter about these housing ordeals, housing issues, anything like that, any concern at all, it's going to make your travel assignment so much more smooth because that's what we're here for. We're here to help. So just keep us in the loop with housing. We're probably going to bug you, ask you if you have housing set up. If you don't, no stress, but we will bug you about it
Yeah,
just because we do have the resource here at Focus Staff to help. And the housing team is seriously one of the best that I've seen. She has the
absolutely.
best ways to find housing. I don't know how, but seriously, really good.
It's amazing. Yeah. Well, Ree, thank you for spending the time together today. I absolutely love working with you. Travelers who are watching this, I just want to say thank y'all as well for taking your time. Make sure that you give us a call or submit any of your questions to us, and we'll be happy to answer any more for you. I'm happy to be a resource.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Brody. Seriously, you guys, any random question, I don't care if you're on assignment with another agency, shoot me a call. We are here to help with anything. Use this as resources. So,
Thank you.
bye.